In today's climate, one would think that the individuals being arrested for drug possession, guns, and theft would be your typical junkie or small-time thief. The average citizen relies on the police to protect and uphold the law, but nothing could be farther from the truth. In recent years, the police have shown us time and time again that they too are criminals. They have shown us they are thieves, shown us they are violent, shown us that they operate without impunity. But sometimes they get caught, and sometimes they go to jail. The following videos will show just how corrupt the police are becoming in our own backyards. This is Mad Lab Press. So let's just jump into this video. Right here we have Constable Craig Ruthowsky, and Constable Ruthowsky worked for the Hamilton Police Service until he was fired. He's been arrested for numerous charges. He was employed with the Guns and Gang Unit of the Hamilton Police Service, and he is now serving a 13-year prison sentence for corruption. So let's get into what Constable Ruthowsky has done. So between 2011 and 2012, a 10-month period, Ruthowsky was paid $250,000 from this drug dealer in order to obtain information from him. So what we're going to listen to now is a wiretap conversation that was caught by the Toronto Police Service on a project they were doing of Ruthowsky and this drug dealer talking about search warrants.
He was wondering, do you think like the cops, do they do stuff like that? Like just take it and maybe charge someone later or like? Yeah. Oh, they do it. They do that, but that's like a big, that's a pretty big project. They don't just do it out of the blue. They need something called a general search warrant, and that's a pretty big deal. And now, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I was in gangs for 5 years. No one did a general search warrant.
A Hamilton police officer convicted for mishandling a gun is set to be dismissed following a Police Services Act hearing into the matter. Jason Gaidola joined us live tonight in studio with the details. Hi there, Jason.
Yeah, hi there, Taz. Constable Terdik was given 7 days to resign from his post or be fired after he pled guilty for 2 incidences involving the careless use of his firearm. In July of 2022, Terdik was caught on video seen here showing him dancing with his firearm while on duty. The year prior, he also pulled the trigger of an empty gun on a fellow officer. He was found guilty for 2 charges of discreditable conduct from the Police Services Board. Hamilton Police released a statement today about the decision, but did not provide any comment. However, through his lawyer, Constable Terdik says, quote, "I would like to apologize to the Hamilton Police Service, the communities that make up the city of Hamilton, my own community, and most importantly, my former coach officer who was impacted by my actions. I know my actions have more than likely caused the public to doubt the professionalism of the Hamilton Police Service and police in general." He went on to say the matter is dealt with through this disciplinary process. Were not caused by lack of training, poor screening, nor a lack of supervision, but rather my own immaturity and carelessness. They are and should be viewed as a reflection on me and not my police colleagues. I take full responsibility for my actions and have and will continue to better myself as a person. I cannot express how deeply sorry I am to all that were impacted by my actions. Now, Terdik or his lawyer did not indicate if they will look to appeal this decision, and they won't indicate whether he will resign from his post or allow the police service to dismiss him. But in terms of the possibility of an appeal, he has 30 days to do so. Taz.
Semi-automatic carbine rifle, or as soldiers put it, their tool of war. Soon, they'll be the latest weapon for frontline Toronto police officers, too.
This is a staff party.
Okay, so we have a stolen car trying to get away from these guys. Then the guy in the red circle is running down the street with a machine gun, fully loaded. Cops running around like crazy, chasing a car onto the gardener, on foot, carrying a machine gun. What are these guys doing? Then the guys are running back to his car for whatever reason. You get 2 paid duty officers in the middle of the intersection, having no clue what's going on. This is a comedy skit, folks. And this is typical Toronto police rushing to a call, driving like maniacs for an alarm for an armored car truck, and a guy shows up with a machine gun in the middle of the street.
Usually, evidence seized by police is used against the person accused, but in this case, the evidence was used against police.
It was the photos of the stacks of cash that exposed the truth and why a drug bust backfired. CTV's Scott Lightfoot has the story.
It all started in 2019 at this building on Weston Road near Eglinton. Toronto police raided an upstairs apartment looking for drugs. Inside, they found exactly that and thousands of dollars in cash too. But it's just how much cash was found that this week led a judge to stay the charges against the accused.
Judge in this case found that the police stole $6,000 from my client.
According to Kim Schofield, the lawyer for the formerly accused man, it is the police's own evidence photographs taken both inside the apartment and at the police station that tell the story.
And when you compare the 2 stacks of money, it appears that once they counted the money at the police station and they indicate the denominations, when you recreate those denominations, it looks substantially different from what the police seized in my client's unit.
A recreation she did, and one that helped convince a judge that the proceedings against her client should be halted. In his pretrial ruling, Justice Schreck wrote, the money clearly went missing while it was in the control of the police. Absent some other explanation, the only reasonable inference is that it was taken by a police officer. The veteran criminal defense lawyer says in this case, she took an unusual step.
This was a little experiment, frankly, on my part, to see if, just test the system, see if it's working independently. And they failed miserably.
Schofield contacted the Toronto Police Professional Standards Unit before the matter went to trial.
And I provided all the information to the professional standards. Instead, they looked at the money, they investigated. I think they probably asked certain officers, did you steal some money? They responded no, and that was it. Closed the investigation, no impropriety found.
Today, a Toronto police spokesperson told CTV News professional standards investigated this matter and, based on the evidence available at the time, did not substantiate misconduct. We will review the judgment and any new evidence that may have been presented in court, and if need be, we'll take appropriate action.
I think it's not a surprise to anybody that the police investigating the police is not a very viable or reliable investigation or system. So maybe it's a reminder to us all that there's got to be some changes in this regard.
Changes Schofield says should involve the use of police body cameras during searches, improved documentation and better training for officers involved in searches, and a re-examination of how police police themselves.
The judicial system, the legal system worked. The police accountability system, professional standards, did not.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
What should happen to an officer who breaks the rules?
They should get double the time.
Okay.
They should get charged the same as anybody else.
Interesting. Burns?
Double the time.
Double the time. All right. You at home, I want you to think about it for a second, because the reason I ask you this is because it was recently revealed that a longtime Toronto police detective has admitted to stealing drugs from Toronto police evidence lockers. Listen to this.
Everything starts with the drug dealing, the type of people who show up to deal in drugs.
This is Toronto Police homicide detective Paul Warden, a veteran of more than 3 decades with the force.
So again, his name is Detective Paul Warden, and police say, and I quote, he unlawfully took quantities of opioids for personal use due to addiction to prescription painkillers. Now I can tell you at this moment that Paul Warden has decided to retire from the force, which means he gets to keep his pension. But I can also tell you this, that he's not really facing any real consequences in the form of like criminal charges. And the reason why Toronto police say this, take a look at your screen, is because, and I quote, he proactively disclosed and cooperated with the investigation, including disclosure of his addiction to painkillers. And the reality is that many of us can understand the need for compassion when it comes to addiction. It's something so many people face in our society. But the other big question is this: what if he wasn't an officer?
Exactly.
Would a regular person be getting the same treatment? Well, some people were asked that question. Here's what they had to say.
The compassion and the leniency that's being afforded Detective Warden is the same compassion and leniency that should be afforded all members of the public. The issue isn't that Detective Warden should be treated more harshly, but that the same standard should apply to everyone.
In the meantime, though, Toronto Police, they've called in the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, to investigate this matter, because some of the drugs that Warden stole, they may have been part of an ongoing criminal investigation. What does that mean? Well, those investigations may now be at risk. So while you ponder that first question that I ask you, I also want to ask you this: should this former police detective be punished? Let us know right now in the comment section.
In other news we're following today, a Toronto police officer has been arrested after allegedly stealing alcohol from a store. Police say 39-year-old Constable Daniel Lir entered a store Friday and took 3 bottles of alcohol without paying. He was arrested later in the day and was charged with theft under $5,000. The officer, who was assigned to 55 Division, has since been suspended with pay.
So I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time now. We have here a cop that works for Toronto Police. His name is Ronald Josephs. And what he was up to, he was in the tow truck industry, hardcore. And he also owned 2 tow trucks that he let these guys use. He was receiving kickbacks for a company that he owned, a rental car company, and he was pulling off insurance fraud. When you watch this video, when you come to this section, please watch the entirety of this article, because you'll be surprised what this guy was charged with, what he was doing, how much money he was making. True scumbag cop, this guy.
Önce beni yerlerde sürükle, canım acısın, boşver benim için bu güzel. Fantezi dünyam rengarenk, bu daha hiçbir şey. Korkma benden, sal kendini, bebeğim dediğim anda vur bana.